Well, that was quite the curveball. I figured that was actually Zeldris the entire time. Who would have actually thought that was Scylla? Okay, that honestly surprised me. I think we can all agree that that probably surprised a lot of us, because remember what I said? I was, like, very shocked that Meliodas was already facing off against Zeldris because of the recent events of finding out what Zeldris is and, you know, how much power he contains and all that. I was under the impression that it would be a bit until we probably got there where Zeldris was going to fight Meliodas. And then it happened. But now this chapter reveals that Zeldris actually wasn't Zeldris, like what we saw in last chapter. In this chapter, it was actually Scylla's illusion. She put an illusion up to make it look like Zeldris was there. And then, you know, you had it to where Meliodas, he got angry, charged in. Even though he knew it was most likely a trap, he charged in regardless because of his fury, his rage, or wrath in this case. And that is why he fell for the trap. So, I do like how this chapter is structured, but it's very, very simple. Basically, to do a brief summary of this chapter, Meliodas, he charges in, he slices the fake illusion or fake Zeldris in half, finds out it was Scylla, Scylla engulfs him in this, like, black ball and all of that, and then basically once that is done, you know, he's taken somewhere else in the middle of the town, and then the other 7 deadly sins are starting to fight like an undead horde, which is Scylla's ability, and they're powering up thanks to Meliodas and his wrath that is, you know, slowly growing in the fight. So it's basically the 7 deadly sins versus Meliodas in this chapter. So, it's a very simple chapter. Like I've already said, it's simplistic, and it's something that, honestly, is probably not going to take very long for me to do a video on. However, there is some good content in this chapter. Even though it was short, there is some very good content. Number one, the reaction face of Meliodas. How he expresses himself in this chapter when he was looking at Scylla, and Scylla was like, oh, wow, so it was true, you were cursed and all that, so the Demon King is still in your emotions and all of that, one by one when you die. And then also saying, like, oh, if you actually get the riddle right, you know, I will free you on the 3rd day to see, you know, Elizabeth before she dies. And you can see the anger growing in Meliodas' face because, you know, she's manipulating him and messing with him. And, you know, Meliodas is just done with that shit. He's completely done with, you know, everybody else fucking him over probably throughout his entire life. He has seen so much shit that he just is done. And also with some of his emotions already being taken away earlier on, like many chapters ago, we know for a fact that he's lost something. We don't know exactly what he lost, but he did lose something, and so most likely that's playing a big part into this chapter. Because remember what Scylla said. Scylla says, you're reminding me a lot of how you were when you used to lead us, as, you know, the leader of the 10 Commandments. That's what Scylla said. And you gotta remember what the Demon King was doing to Meliodas. He was trying to make Meliodas back to where he once was. For instance, the demon that he was a long time ago. And so, most likely, that is being showcased by Nakaba-sensei to let us know that if Meliodas continuously dies, he's probably gonna be a very cruel individual, someone that no longer cares about humanity or anything or his friends, because he has just lost so many emotions. So, I do like how this chapter was hinting at that, what was, you know, kind of established a while back, but that's about it. Now, speaking of which, let's talk about the fight scene with what's going on with, you know, the other, you know, 7 deadly sins. So the other 7 deadly sins, they're fighting skeletons, and to be honest, when the fight first started, you have bonds like, these are too easy, what are they thinking they're trying to prove right now, throwing these at us? And I have to agree with Bond. When I first saw the chapter, like, in the middle, I'm like, they're so weak, they're not gonna mean nothing at all, especially when all of the characters got a power-up and stuff. There's just no way that these, you know, skeletons are gonna do anything to them. But then we find out that the rage that Meliodas is slowly increasing and gaining throughout his fight with Scylla, it's going directly towards the skeletons to feed them, make them more powerful, give them more resistance and damage and all of that. So he's powering up the enemy as he continuously fights Scylla to get out. And in a way, this is not really good because Meliodas has shown that he's incredibly powerful. I mean, number one, this man was fighting the Demon King and the Supreme Goddess. Now, obviously, he got his ass beat, and so did Elizabeth. They both got their ass handed to them. They were not even a good opponent for those two. However, they still fought, and from what it appears is they at the very least took a couple of blows from the Demon King and the Supreme Goddess because of how bloody they were. So at the very least they took 1 to 2 blows before everything happened. We don't know exactly how long the fight really lasted, but the big point is that Meliodas is definitely powerful. He's not someone that you can kind of brush under the rug and say he's weak, but also rage as well. Rage is a big thing that we have seen that's been applied to Meliodas, and if he probably taps into that, that man most likely can just go on a fucking spree, like a murder spree, or just destroying everything in his path, which we have seen before in the series. So, one of the big things here, the only thing I could see that could get the characters out of this, besides getting over to Meliodas and getting him out, most likely will be Escanor. I could see Escanor playing a big part in this fight right now, because remember, Escanor is someone that apparently is stronger than Meliodas. Meliodas even stated that Escanor was stronger than him. So, obviously, if Escanor really is that strong, he is way stronger than Meliodas. Take off the man's glasses, let the man beef up, become big beefcakes, sun god, and just start wrecking house against all the skeletons. They won't be able to do fucking shit. And then also, since Scylla's in a ball of darkness, all, Escanor has to do is get over there and just annihilate the ball with just supreme sunlight, just radiating off his body. I mean, that's what he could possibly do. Now anyways, with that being said, there's a couple of little side things I want to kind of talk about before I end this video. Number one, at the beginning of the chapter, it's declared that Diane and King are the second best couple in this series. And in all honesty, that kind of makes me a little bit salty, because I really love Diane, I really love King, and they've been built up for a very long time. But most likely, who's in first place? If I had to place any bets, it's probably Elizabeth and it's probably Meliodas because of the recent events of the series. Because of finding out how, Elizabeth and Meliodas, how they're connected, the curse and all of that. Most likely the number one couple is those two. And that's kind of what we're going to probably find out in next week's chapter. But yeah, it's kind of upsetting that Diane and King aren't first place, but that's to be expected when the recent chapters have really focused on Elizabeth and Meliodas' relationship. Now, the next thing to talk about, let's talk about the Season 2 announcement. Now, like I said, I know this is a little bit off topic from, the chapter, but I feel like it's relevant to talk about since, it was announced. Like, yesterday? Yeah, it was announced, like, yesterday. So I didn't make a video on it because I wanted to wait until I did the chapter review to kind of talk about it because I just wanted to put all the Taizai information in one video. So, apparently, Season 2 has been greenlit. There is a Season 2 of Taizai coming out. Now, as I've said in the past, A1, they don't really know how to do Season 1s, and they kind of fucked up Season 1. I'm just gonna be honest here, and I will not lie. They kind of messed up Season 1 of Taizai. However, there was some good moments as well, and they did try to kind of correct that with the OVAs they released a while back. So, I do think that Season 2 is going to be probably a hell of a lot better than Season 1, because, I mean, if you look at the other stuff that A1 Pictures does, when it comes to, like, series like Shonen and stuff, when they make a first season, usually the first season is not a proper adaptation. It doesn't adapt the manga completely. There's just little changes here and there that make it anime original. But then when Season 2 comes around, if it's popular enough, it sticks true to the source material. Same thing happened to SAO. It was really very similar to that. So, because of that, I believe Season 2 of, Seven Deadly Sins is probably going to be pretty good. I'm pretty excited to see how that's going to be done, though, because I really want to see my boy Escanor. Apparently Escanor is going to be in it. Zeldris is going to be in it and all that, so I'm pretty fucking hyped. I'm ready to see my sun god, supreme sun god Escanor praise the motherfucking sun in the anime. I'm super excited to see that, because I want to see this man just whoop the Ten Commandments, because that will definitely be a fucking blast. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love y'all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.